So right now, what I'm going to be doing is with my wording. I should be using black, but anyways, they are still the same thing. So I'm going to be marking my sleeve head, and that should be starting around let's say 2.5 inches away from this point. You can see 2.5 inches away from that point. Then you mark your sleeve head like this. Just make something cool like this. Aha. So once you have this, you can see what I have right here. Aha, you can see, so this is the shape I am actually cutting. This is the shape I want to cut out of my distance. So I'm going to be, mind you, I'll have to be cutting 2 pieces of this. So right here you want to cut this point. Let's start there. And then here as well. Let's cut the other piece from here. So you want to cut this point as well. So now that we have this, the head, one thing we want to do is you can just maybe with your pencil, yeah, you can remark that stuff you did here. You can remark it right here, just like this. I hope you've seen that. So, and then you cut. Okay, so right now I have my sleeve head. So I hope you can see this. So the next thing we will be doing is you take it to the machine and sew this edge at the very, you sew it at the very edge, just like that. And then so let's do that and then we'll come back. Okay, right now you can see after this is done like this, so you want to flip it right to the other side. You want to flip it to the other side like this and sew in 1/2 inch. So you sew 1/2 inch, and when you get, just before you get to the tip here, about 1/2 inch away from the tip, you want to stop there as well. So let's do that, come back. Okay, right now I have sewn this. So what I'm going to be doing is flip it right to the right side. And you see that, aha. So this way I have my sleeve almost done at this area. So, and as you can see now, here is what I've done here. Is I have sewn this at the tip. So once I've sewn this at the tip, the next thing I'm going to do is about 1/4 inch. You can see this second line. I'm going to be sewing a what kind of stitch? A basting stitch there. You know, that means it won't be tight. I make sure the the stitches is not tight, so it's going to be a basting stitch. So that means I will have to increase the, what is the name, what is it called, the stitch regulator, so that the stitch will not be tight, so that I can adjust the thread from there. So that's what I'm going to be doing. You may be doing 2 rows of that after you've sewn this right on here. So you can start from this area and then do just a quarter of an inch away from the edge. So you do that, and then once you do that, we go to the next thing. Let's quickly do that and see. Let me show you on the machine. So right now we are here at the machine, and as you can see, I'm going to be adjusting my stitch regulator, and I'm going to be having it at 4. Yeah, I'm going to be having it at 4. That is cool. So that is what we use. And since I have it at 4, I'm going to be starting right here. You can choose to back stitch at the beginning, but not any other place. Make sure you are sewing just like a quarter of an inch. Or 3/8. So and at the end you're not back stitching. You just have to remove your thread and cut. So let's head back. So right about now you can see what we have here. We started from this point and then right to this point. So what are we going to do is, right from this point, that is where we are going to start with the ease. We want to ease it in. Don't forget, the only amount of ease we have is about 1.5 of an inch. I mean 1.5 inch rather, sorry. And just like this, you can see what I'm doing. You start pulling the thread, and then all this excess you start distributing it to every other part like that. I'm sure you can see what is happening here. So you distribute evenly. Okay. I'm sure you can see what is happening right here now. You see, I have this already eased. So you want to make sure the part where you are going to be having most ease is just around this area. You can see that. So I think the amount of ease I have here should be okay. It should be okay, but I'm not sure, and I can't really say yes, it is okay for now. The reason is that before I would be able to say if it is okay, I have to measure it. Let's measure what we have here. Meanwhile, you are going to be having to deduct 1/2 inch that you had to sew. Okay, let's start from here. So this is, I'm removing the 1/2 inch that I have to sew, so I'm starting from 1/2 inch away from the edge, and then I'll be measuring this. So this is still almost 21. So that means we still need to ease it a little bit more. So let's say we overlap this part like this, as you can see. So what I'm going to have to do right now is, let's remeasure. Half inch away. Okay, this is about 20 and a half. So that means we need to ease it the more. Yeah, we need more ease. This is actually a very thick work to do actually. But at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it. I tell you. Okay. I think we should have gotten to where we want to get to now. Right now. Yeah, that's what I think. So you see, I already have that this sleeve cap this thing already. So when I sew this, I'm sure it's going to be cool. You can see what it's looking like already from here. I'm sure you can see that. So the next thing, after doing this, the next thing we want to do is take the other side and sew it just like this. So you want to sew half of an inch right on the other side as well. So you can see that you sew your half of an inch on the other side, and then you have your sleeve, and then you go straight to line. So I have done this, and you can see I've pressed it open. Okay. So right now we almost have our sleeve. So the next thing we want to do is sew the lining as well, and then join them. Let's quickly work on that. So the next thing right now is you want to take your sleeve lining to the machine and sew it the exact same way you sew this thing, except for the fact that you're only going to be sewing it straight at the lower part here, both sides, because it's not having a vent. So the lining piece will not be having a vent, so you are just sewing it straight the exact same way you do that. So let's quickly do that and then. Okay, welcome back. So I have sewn my lining piece for the sleeve. You can see that. So I have to fold this, I have to turn this back to the wrong side and fold it in such a way that I'll have both the seam line facing me. And I also did the same thing on the lining. You can see that. So I'm going to be letting the two face each other. So I'm going to have to let the two face each other. You can see that. But one thing you want to take note of is make sure the same position, they are from the same position right here. You see, you can see what I'm talking about from here. You make sure one is not getting longer than the other or shorter. So you fix them right at the same position. And then you align them like this. And then maybe with your pin, you want to pin it in place first. So now that I've pinned this already in place, you see this line also, the same line here. You want to match that also with this, making sure, oh, let's find okay, this is the same line for here, making sure the same line of that is also falling in the same position with this. Those things are very, very important. And once you have that done, you pin that in place. Okay, that's it. And after pinning, you can see I've pinned it now. After pinning, so that pinned area, you take it to the machine. You see this? You take it to the machine and sew around maybe 5 inches long or 4 inches long seam to hold the two. As you can see, I'm only using it to hold the pieces. There's seam allowance. It's not touching the main fabric. And right here as well, if you can see, it's only taking the seam allowance. You can see that. So you are going to have to sew that together and then you continue. Let me do that. As you can see right now, I've sewn this, and the reason for sewing that is to make sure your lining sits in place. It's not dangling around or folding unnecessarily or unreasonably or anyway. So you can see this lining piece is actually way longer. So you are going to cut it and just let it be about 1 inch. After folding this, it should be about, let's say, 1 inch longer. So we are going to be cutting that excess away. Just about 1 inch longer now. So what do you want to do right now is you want to dip your end inside. You can dip it inside the lining or inside the fabric itself. You dip your end inside. You see what I have here. Then you'll be taking the tip, one tip of here and the other tip of here. You can see what I did, and then you pull that out. Okay. Now that I've done this, I have my lining right inside my sleeve. I have my lining right inside my sleeve. Just as you can see it now. You see what I have here? So I can also try and flip it over to the other side, just to show the lining. Yes. So I'm sure you can see what we have here right now, that everything right here is laying cool, laying flat. So what you want to do is simply fold this the way you want it to be. I'm sorry I had to attend to that emergency. Yeah. You can see I folded this. Then right now that I folded this, what I want to do next is take my, what do I call it, and stitch around my needle and thread, and then stitch it all around.